Hi folks, my name is Doug Bockenhuis and I am the music director of the Natchitoches-Northwestern Symphony, and I'm here to tell you about our first concert of the season, which is Tuesday, September 21st at 7:30 p.m. in McGale Recital Hall on the campus of Northwestern State University. I'm excited about this program. We're going to be featuring one of our faculty members, my colleague, Dr. Francis Yang, on the piano playing Schumann's Piano Concerto, but also on the program we're going to open with Haydn's Overture Nizola di Sapitata, which means deserted island. Haydn, of course, is known for his symphonies and things like that. In fact, he's called the father of the symphony, but his overtures to his operas aren't very well known, and so it's been exciting for me to learn this little overture, and it's a setting that is about a deserted island, two sisters on a deserted island, and so what you hear at first is a mysterious kind of loneliness, despair, being deserted on a deserted island, and then after that you hear what caused them to be on the deserted island, which is a storm. In fact, there was a style back then that was called Sturm und Drang, which means storm and stress. So that's the style, and it depicts an actual storm. So it goes from loneliness and despair to representing the storm for how they got there. And because it's also a love story, because they are rescued by the older sister's husband and he brings along a friend, it's a love story. So after the storm, we hear a little love theme. And then we hear chaos, again, like the storm, and then the storm theme actually returns, and then we expect the love theme to come back, but it doesn't. Instead, we hear a minuet, like a court dance, a courtship dance, where the young lovers are doing a little dance, and then it ends with the storm again. So it's just to kind of set up the opera, and I think it kind of sets up our season because it has a lot of variety of emotions and that kind of thing. So that opens the program. After that, we have a piece by a living composer named Eric Whitaker, and he's mostly known for his choral music, and this is an arrangement that was made of one of his choral pieces called October, and it's a setting of just his feelings of autumn, the way the colors change, the lighting changes with the sun changing, and of course the leaves changing and the crisp cool air and that kind of things. He says it brings back a nostalgic kind of feeling, a sentimental nostalgia for him. After that, we're going to do a piece by one of my favorite composers, Georg Philipp Telemann, who lived in the 18th century, and he composed this music at the age of 80 years old, which is very rare for someone to live that long in the 18th century. And the kind of funny thing about this piece is that it's about Don Quixote, if you know the Miguel Cervantes story of Don Quixote, which is about an old man on an old horse, and he has delusions of grandeur. So I find it amusing that Telemann takes the story and sets it to music. So what you hear in this, you'll hear an overture, which has some of what the story's about, and then you'll hear Don Quixote, he wakes up for the next movement, and then after that we hear his attacks on the windmill. He thinks they're monsters, and so he attacks the windmills on his old horse, and then after that we hear the pining for Princess Dulcinea, and he calls her a princess, but she's actually just the farmer girl that lives next door. And after that, we hear Sancho Panza's the fool. He's being what happens is Don Quixote forgets to pay the rent on his hotel room because he's old. He forgets, and so his little sidekick Sancho Panza, he takes the brunt of that, and they toss him up in the air trying to get the money out of him. And so after that, then we'll hear the galloping horse, and his horse is old, and so it's galloped slow. And then we hear Sancho Panza's donkey, which is stubborn, and we use some special effects to kind of help that. And then after that, it ends with bedtime. So Don Quixote goes to sleep, and we hear the horse and him riding off into the sunset as he falls asleep and does some more dreaming about his adventure, his heroic adventures. And then after that, we'll close the program with the Schumann Piano Concerto that's played beautifully by Dr. Francis Yang. And this is a beautiful piece that there are three movements. It's all dedicated to Schumann's wife, Clara Schumann, who premiered it on the piano. And the first movement is it works through some things, but it's very loving, and the second movement is beautifully loving, and then the last movement is just full of joy. So I hope you can come to our concert Tuesday, September 21st at McGale Recital Hall, 7:30 p.m. Thank you for listening.